Hello, my name's Lindy Cowling. Welcome to my channel. My website is www.lindycowling.co.uk. Email is info@lindycowling.co.uk. And the title of the short video this evening is Soul Viruses. Soul viruses. Okay, so what do I mean by a soul contaminant or a soul virus? I think the simplest way to describe this is when, as human beings having a human evolutionary experience, we decide to come down into the form of a human body. We come down originally from source, as a mist, as an essence, you could call it spirit, down into the vehicle which we call the soul, the vehicle that we use, that we perceive our world through, that we have our experiences through. And the soul is what we go through life, getting all the feelings through, the emotions. It's almost like a computer has a hard drive, and it can, it can have a record of these experiences. All these experiences are recorded, and the easiest way I can describe this is when a soul virus gets in, it's a bit like putting the wrong petrol into the car, or where you can get computer viruses, where somebody or something interferes with that direct connection and introduces a contaminant into it, which then disrupts, the word again, disruptor, disrupts in some ways the experiences, the programming, the negative and positive programming actually, but can also change form, change state, the soul virus, to directly affect what is happening in the present moment and what one is trying to form and create for the future. So I hope I'm getting this across in a format that people can understand. Just like we have computer viruses, or just like if I were to drive my car around the garage and then put the wrong kind of fuel in it, the wrong kind of gas in it, it would mess the car up. If somebody were to hack your computer and then it had a virus, it would mess things up, it would disrupt things. Some of those things would be lost, or it would take a while to get it back online. It's similar to that, except once it gets to the stage where a soul virus is in, just like a human virus where you would catch a complicated, let's call it a complicated form of the flu, that kept changing state, I've said that twice now, and I'm going to say it again. Like a virus that keeps changing state, which means that it's difficult to get a handle on it, because just when one thinks or feels they're going to get a handle on it, it morphs and changes again. It changes form again. So if you had a physical virus and you went to the doctors, that's notoriously well known that physical viruses, actual viruses, are very difficult to sort out and cure. It's the same on a spiritual concept, on the soul side of it. Once a soul virus is in, it keeps morphing and changing state, and it is very challenging to get a handle on it, because it takes a very long time to realise that such a thing is even possible and that is going on. And for people, how that manifests is often, well, in fact often, I think almost always, there has been tracks back to disruptor energy involvement. If you don't know what disruptor energies are, I've brought out 2 or 3 videos over the years on YouTube on disruptor energies, the dark side of twin flames, I mentioned it. I've brought out another 2 or 3, I think, on disruptor energies, explaining what that is. Most people that have been involved with that, there is a percentage that it has gone on to like a soul viral form. When I say a percentage, it's not all, but as a percentage it's gone on to that form where it keeps changing. And what it does, it actually disrupts people from getting to where they would ultimately have got to. It kind of keeps derailing them, and in a way it's like they keep derailing themselves. They just keep coming up against things within themselves or coming up against things around them that keeps stopping them, It's almost like pulling them back and dragging them back all the time. Because once it's got in, it's very challenging to shake off because it's got in. I mean, it's almost by this process of osmosis, where there has been not a sufficient boundary, like the immune system, not an efficient boundary to hold off that entry point. Classic examples of this would be genuine twin flames. Classic examples of this would be connections of a soul or at the level of spirit and soul level that have aspects of that in there. Simply because the normal boundaries in those connections don't exist. They don't exist physically, they don't exist spiritually, they don't exist in soul. There's a process of osmosis. Osmosis means this: blending, merging, running together. It's as if it's all in the same test tube. And so if there is a disruptor, some kind of contaminant, some kind of contamination in there, in that test tube, and there's this merging process going on, if that's happened and it's got in, it's got in. And so, the challenge is recognising this and recognising how to overcome it. Like any virus, it seems to have to run its course, and I have to say that awareness and consciousness that such a thing was possible is only just starting to happen. I believe I may be one of the first, if not the first, to talk about this. Certainly not one of the first to have experienced anything like that, I'm sure. What I will say is, because consciousness is racing at such a pace at the moment, and new discoveries, if you like, on the fronts of human consciousness, on the fronts of quantum physics, on the fronts of epigenetics, on the fronts of bloodlines, on the fronts of what was possible or believed to be possible and actually what is possible, is changing literally every 24 hours, every day of the week. And humanity is absolutely at the forefront and the cusp here of now having the realisation that such things are possible, and actually how to reverse that, if you like, and how to eliminate that, if you like. There are a few other things I could say here, but I'm not going to say it yet, because what I would say is ideas are being played around with, and it would be remiss of me to say, share that at the moment, because I don't know if what I was, about could have said there is workable and can redress some of that. I mean, lots of ideas are being played around with, and it's going to be the passage of time to see if what I feel is correct. So I, in a way, need to practice that to see if this is you know, an accurate working model, if you like. A little bit like the templates that I've been talking about, you know, people, templates within templates, things being rewritten, almost like the laws of physics, the laws of consciousness, the laws of possibility are changing all the time. So people are, I really feel it's an unprecedented period of history where people are making discoveries and realizations, and there are revelations all the time. And I think we're truly seeing that in the outside world as well. And of course that challenges those kind of states of consciousness changing like that. Because they are amazing, they can shake people to the core and the foundation, because it's the massive challenge on belief systems in people from all walks of life, and that's going on all over the planet, which is causing this polarization, which is causing extreme reactions in people, and people, you know, literally flipping out, you know, kind of going crazy. There's no surprise to this. This was kind of foretold way back about 15, 20 years ago, actually. No surprise to this at all. But there's this push-pull thing going on globally at the moment. It's a very challenging time for people when, if they're already clinging to what they perceived was possible, if the impossible is in front of them, that can be a wonderful, transforming, amazing thing, but it can also be hugely challenging if they're not ready to face such a prospect. So these, just to finish up, you know, these viruses that can affect the soul on a soul level, yes, can cause damage to the soul, just like it could cause damage to your car, to your vehicle, putting the wrong fuel in, the wrong gas. Just like it can damage your computer, you know, if your computer is hacked with a virus, it morphs, it changes state, and you know there are many of us that are only coming into the awareness that such a thing is possible, and also, you know, of how to remedy that. And you know, so like I say, I'm sharing what I can share up to this moment, but you know, I might be able to share more on that later on. I want to be sure before I do so that what I feel is workable, and a way of changing that is actually workable. The exciting thing about the times we're living in here now, the amazing thing is the answers to these things do not lie just with one person. I found this so much in my work lately. I'm working with some amazing people, have had the privilege to work with some amazing people all over the world for the last 2.5, 3 years now. And it's like we all have pieces of the puzzle, and then one person will say something, and then all those pieces will rush together. It's almost like planets orbiting round, and then they suddenly all rush together like this in that moment of creation, and the creation of a new template, the creation of a new idea, the creation of a new state of consciousness. This is what I see all over the world at the moment. This is what's been happening for a while. And so, you know, I might say something to someone and it creates the same response, the same ripple and the same effect there. And I'm sure people are seeing this globally. This truly is a time, again, of unification, actually. Despite all the polarization that's going on personally and globally, it's a time of unification, because it's that unification that actually anchors these templates and these states into physical reality. They do not remain an abstract conscious concept at that point. They are landed in reality and brought down to earth and brought down to the ground. So I hope you found that useful. This would apply to anyone. I want to say anyone. It would be a small percentage of people, but still happening across the general public, particularly in those that have been involved in a connection that there's been a breakdown of the boundaries. So I could say twin flames, I could also say close soul connections, I could also say if people that have been involved in narcissistic, psychopathic connections as well, anything, and they're very empathic, or they have been quite damaged themselves, and so there are very porous boundaries there. There's not really any limitations to this, but to say that such a thing is possible would be, I feel, accurate, and would also be why treatments can go an extremely long way to helping people significantly. The psychiatric treatments, the psychology treatments, the CBT treatments, the counselling treatments, you know, the hands-on healing and all this can go so far, but hasn't been able to really nail the root of it because we've never looked at the actual contaminant being actually on a soul level or the spiritual level. We haven't known that was part of it as well. So, on that note, I will love you and leave you. I do hope you found that interesting. I hope you found it interesting. I hope you found it expanding. I hope you didn't find it too challenging. You know, like I mean, in an irritating way for you. You know, too triggering. I will love you and leave you. I thank you so much for watching. Thank you for resonating. Thank you to all you guys that have been watching my videos up to now. I truly appreciate it. I would like to thank you for that, and I would also like to thank you for continuing to subscribe. It does mean a lot to me. I've put a lot of work into this, a lot of myself into it over the last sort of 2.5 years, and I sincerely appreciate the fact that people are enjoying or are learning or are expanding and are sharing, and that repercussion, you know, that beautiful dance of energy that takes place as a result of it, you know, as a result really of being a catalyst, you know, for change. I'll love you and leave you. Thank you for tuning in, guys. See you again soon. Bye.